Elon Musk just announced a huge tech breakthrough from Tesla, and it's huge news for us Tesla stock investors. He says FSD unsupervised is pretty much solid at this point, but this is not really what I'm talking about. And that Tesla will be launching Robotaxis with no safety monitors in about 3 weeks in Austin, Texas, which is big news. But then he also teased that a new FSD model is coming in 1 to 2 months, and you want to pay attention here. He says we are just going through validation right now. No safety monitors will be done with quite a small model. And then look at this one. There's a model that's an order of magnitude larger that will be deployed in January or February of next year. And every time Tesla deployed a significantly bigger model, what do we see? We saw huge improvements in FSD performance, much better intervention rates. Everything would just be smoother and better and closer to actually solving for unsupervised FSD. Oh, but big news doesn't stop here. We are going to add a lot of reasoning and RL. To get to serious scale, Tesla will probably need to build a giant chip fab. To have a few hundred gigawatts of AI chips per year, I don't see that capability coming online fast enough, so we will probably have to build a fab. This is what Elon Musk is talking about, and these pieces of news are all huge pieces of news for us Tesla stock investors. Tesla building a fab, an actual factory perhaps, that changes a lot. And when Elon Musk really gets serious about something, you do not want to get in his way. And if he really focuses his attention on that thing, he dominates the industry. And is this going to be an industry that Elon Musk is going to dominate too? Maybe, we will see. But here's what I know. Being invested in Tesla is a good idea in the long term. And you want to be invested in Elon Musk because when he does something, when he focuses on something, it eventually works. A lot of the time, more often than you would think, it should work because he goes after impossible things, basically. Now, about that, Tesla will be operating robotaxis with no safety monitors in Austin in 3 weeks. Well, we don't have to wait too long to see how this prediction turns out, says James. And the 3 weeks timing is not really that interesting to me. Personally, what I'm more interested in is the bigger model, which will clearly probably improve FSD performance. Tesla can already do unsupervised, basically sort of in certain locations with the current setup as they have. But to scale really quickly, it's much better if FSD software is much more capable, which with a new model, probably it will be. I mean, you compare V14 with V13, it's night and day. And we might have the same thing between V14 and maybe if this is going to be called V15, we might see that same improvement again. Now, contrary to the narrative of the fuss spots, FSD is fundamentally solved. That's because the brain architecture for a functional robotaxi is in place. It still requires some polishing, but the hard yards are absolutely done. And that's really been clear now to me for a few years. It takes some time for everyone else to catch up. Number 2, Elon expects to remove the safety monitors in 3 weeks in Austin, so hopefully by the end of the year. And interestingly, he said the model/version is still quite small. And number 3, an FSD model that's an order of magnitude 10 times larger is expected to be deployed in 1 to 2 months. And that could really be game-changing. And I'll show you in a moment, but it's absolutely fascinating. It sort of blew my mind. But this could result in a massive performance improvement. And I would say not could, but most likely will. Number 4, Elon doubled down on his claim that Tesla needs to build a giant chip fab. Buckle up. If Tesla does that, it will be a huge investment of time, money, resources, and possibly risky. But when Elon Musk does things that are risky, and if he is working on multiple projects like that, I say it's basically almost a guarantee that one of them is going to blow up in such a way that is going to be life-changing returns for many investors. And Farzad has a strong prediction here. Tesla FSD will for sure have its ChatGPT moment in 2026. The amount of viral videos of Teslas driving themselves will be impossible to ignore. But anyway, Tesla investors are certainly welcoming this news and they are celebrating. This is a bit of welcome news. And then there's this new note from Piper Sandler, and Alex Potter from there has had some rather good takes. When you look at Wall Street, Piper Sandler, I like to go to them. They are more reasonable, and historically they have been more right about Tesla than most of these Wall Street firms. Tesla is getting very close to unsupervised FSD. We hosted a discussion with the designer of the FSD community tracker. And pay attention here. The tracker's score metric, miles to critical disengagement, exhibited a 20x improvement after FSD V14.1 was released in October, from 441 miles in the previous version to, watch this, 9,200 miles. This is game changing. This is a watershed moment. This is a mainstream Wall Street analyst realizing that FSD is very close to unsupervised FSD. This was the biggest sequential improvement in 4 years of data collection. Personally, I wouldn't think so. If you look at the obvious improvements, yes, absolutely. But if you think about the big breakthroughs, I don't think so. I think the big breakthrough was going to V12. Because before it was all heuristics, yes and no, yes and no, yes and no, whereas now it's a whole different game. You might not have seen that immediately in the performance of the car, but it was obvious. But when it comes to Wall Street, yes, this is a very tangible thing that you can look and see and feel and understand and put in your spreadsheet. They continue. This in addition to a subsequent downtick in performance, V14.2, has sparked a recent increase in investor interest. Alex reiterated an overweight rating and a $500 12-month price target in Tesla, which I think is a rather low price target because we are supposed to be like 5-10 years out, and then you discount back to the present day, and then you get your current price target for the next 12 months. I think that's way too low if you're using that methodology. But if you are just trying to predict where Tesla stock is going to be 12 months from now, okay, maybe not a bad bet. But here's what I know in the long term. If you keep placing bets like this where, oh, Tesla stock is just going to go up basically 10% from where it is right now, or it's going to go down a little bit, or it's going to go up 20% in a year. 1 year, you're going to be so monumentally wrong that it's just going to look really embarrassing. But Piper Sandler, they do keep their buy ratings. They don't really switch their buy ratings for Tesla to sell, so I applaud them for that. Unlike Morgan Stanley, which before basically went from, oh, buy Tesla stock, and then they switched to sell Tesla stock, and then Tesla stock went up like 10 times. Speaking of Morgan Stanley, their research believes that Tesla will only account for 25% of US autonomous vehicle trips in 2032. They say that Zoox is going to account for 12%, Tesla 25%, Waymo 34%, Lyft 7%, Uber 22%. This seems way too low. Tesla is the only one of these companies that manufactures its own vehicles in-house and at a fraction of the cost of its competitors. Really, when you think about the fundamentals, what is going to be the most important thing in the long term? Getting the costs down. And who will get the costs lower than everyone else is going to be whoever has the biggest supply chain, in vertically integrated supply chain, the biggest expertise in software and manufacturing combined. Waymo, Tesla beats them at software, and Tesla beats them at hardware. So hard to really see how they will actually win at this scale if you really think it through deeply, not just on a surface level, but you go a few levels deep. So this is a rather embarrassing take from Morgan Stanley. They are trying to play it really safe here. Now, speaking of some insane FSD stats, anyone have self-driving stats higher than this on their Tesla? Here's the highest one that I've seen so far. Now, the FSD tracker, they pointed out, Piper Sandler, 9,200. I haven't really seen that myself of someone like showing something like this, but this is, keep in mind, this is like no interventions, like not even like parking, nothing. It's absolutely zero. This is not even including interventions that are not safety. It's like, oh, I put in the navigation that I want to go there, but I just changed my mind and just easier to take over and make a turn here. No, this doesn't even include anything like that happening. The car just drives the whole time, all the time. 2,012.3 miles on self-driving out of how many? 2,012.3 miles. 100% of this was done on full self-driving, V14.2. Keep in mind, though, this is 15% city driving and 85% highway driving. Not a single disengagement. A follower sent me this of his Model 3 on FSD V14, says Sawyer. Soon we will start seeing a lot more of posts like this, and you will not just see 2,000, you'll see 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 in a lot of these posts. 15,000. I'm looking forward to the days when we will see 20,000, 30, 40, 50, 100. You know, it's just a matter of time before that happens. So we are getting to the point where you really don't have to drive anymore unless you actually truly want to. Oh, and remember this guy, Jason Camisa? He's a pretty famous guy in the world of cars. Elon responded to him here saying, and it only gets better from here. Jason Camisa on trying Tesla FSD V14 during an hour-long trip after being critical of FSD in the past said this: I had to eat my stuff and words. This freaking car drove us the entire way expertly making lane changes whenever you wanted and nothing dangerous. No jerks, no side to side, beautifully smooth. It freaking pulled into the parking lot and backed itself into a parking spot, and then it drove us all the way back to San Francisco. This is door to door. Amazing. Couldn't believe it. But it's happening. And many people still can't believe it. They look at the videos of Tesla FSD and they look at the posts that people are making and they still don't believe it. But the reality is going to hit them hard when eventually Tesla stock rallies like crazy. And Tesla took advantage of doing some promotion here on X. FSD supervised V14 drives you from door to door. No other car can do this, says Tesla. True. And then watch this little clip. This is, I think, we can classify this at this point as a typical FSD experience when you try it after not having tried it for a long time. Check this out.
Just got a new update. That's supposed to be the biggest update in like 2 years. And so it might be better now.
Oh my gosh, this is absurd.
Wild.
I still have not touched the steering wheel or the pedals.
Oh my gosh.
Certainly this point is true. Allowing others to experience FSD from the driver's seat may cause extreme desire to own a Tesla. And remember, FSD is only going to get better from here on. Farzad did an interesting poll here. Driving, I like it. 35% of people said that. Neutral, said 29% of the people. I dislike it, said 29% of the people. However, that sort of assumes that you have to drive and there is basically no other option for you. But if you are given an option, hey, you can turn on FSD and well, the car is driving. You can use your phone, you can watch something, you can get yourself really busy. A lot more people are going to dislike driving manually then. And then check this out. Samsung is speeding up US hiring as Tesla prepares for AI 5 production. Samsung is hiring veteran engineers for its customer engineering team to resolve complex foundry challenges, stabilize yields, and ensure smooth production of Tesla's next-generation AI 5 chips. And this news is actually really relevant to us Tesla stock investors. This is, you could say this is sort of like Bloomberg. We are reporting that the SpaceX IPO targeted for mid-2026 seeks to raise significantly more than $30 billion, exceeding what Aramco raised in their 2019 IPO. The valuation would be near to around $1.5 trillion, which at this valuation, compared to Tesla's current valuation, this would make SpaceX actually more valuable than Tesla. He continues here, one rationale to raise that much money, data center in space. With SpaceX, I think Elon Musk can do a lot if he raises more money. And that investment, I believe, in the long term is going to turn out very, very well. So I'm very interested in SpaceX, like I said many times before. The first time I mentioned I'm extremely interested in SpaceX and I want to invest in SpaceX if there is an easy way to do it without outrageously high fees. If SpaceX is now valued at $800 billion, I would have made about 4 times my money. Someone had a pretty good comment here. Actually, the moment SpaceX decided to go all in on space-based AI data centers is the moment an IPO suddenly came into play after being unlikely for so long. Well, Elon always sort of hinted at going public with SpaceX, but now it's changing a little bit. If you have followed Elon's tactics, you know that once he commits to something, he burns the ships. He said earlier today that AI is the highest elo battle ever. And Elon Musk, by the way, just did a new interview. One of the things he just said, it needs to be sustainably multiplanetary, so not just visiting, but actually multiplanetary in the sense that if you have planetary redundancy, so if there were to be a catastrophe on one of the planets, the other planet would survive. Starship is capable of doing that for the first time in history, and no AI was used to create it. And then Elon replied to the post saying, from here to Mars and then to the stars. And check out what Elon said here. He replied with true to this post. The most important thing in the next 3 to 4 years is data centers in space. In every way, data centers in space from a first principles perspective are superior to data centers on Earth. In space, you can keep a satellite in the sun 24 hours a day. The sun is 30% more intense, which results in 6 times more irradiance than on Earth. So you don't need a battery. The cooling in these data centers is incredibly complicated. Space cooling is free. You just put a radiator on the dark side of the satellite. The only thing faster than a laser going through a fiber optic cable is, watch this, a laser going through absolute vacuum. Link satellites with lasers and you have a faster and more coherent network than any data center on Earth. The only problem with this is it's still very expensive to launch stuff into space. But The SpaceX, that is changing, and it's changing quickly. Also, Tesla just reached an important milestone at Giga Shanghai. They just produced 4 million cars in total at Giga Shanghai. So a big congratulations goes out to the Tesla team. Now, there's actually some drama going around, and it's related to this, and Gary Black made a long post, controversial post, and he included this video in his post. Basically, this post is saying that Optimus robots are teleoperated and that the guy teleoperating it took off his headset and then the whole thing fell. So Gary here says, other Tesla story on Bloomberg was pushing Tesla lower. This is earlier this week. Tesla humanoid robot Optimus actions during an event in Miami have raised fresh questions about robots' autonomy. So Gary says, Optimus appears to take off the headset during Tesla's autonomy visualized event in Miami on Saturday. The incident has raised questions about whether the robots were being teleoperated rather than AI-driven, as Tesla CEO Elon Musk has maintained. In that particular case, it was teleoperated. I don't have doubts about that. But in other instances, if Elon Musk very clearly states that this was not teleoperated, I think he is being truthful. Gary continues, if teleoperated rather than AI-driven, Optimus would clearly not be scalable as it would need one teleoperator for every robot. Now, of course, the news comes as Tesla had recently showcased its robot running across the floor, demonstrating lifelike movements. The video comes as the robot had previously showcased martial arts movements alongside an expert. Musk had claimed that the robot wasn't teleoperated and that the movements were all AI. The robot was also showcased at a movie premiere in Los Angeles. Musk had earlier also shared that the robot would represent 80% of Tesla's future value. The CEO has claimed that the robot would eradicate poverty, help Japan's labor shortages, as well as be an effective surgeon. Also, if you remember, if you go back quite a few years, a lot of things were said about FSD by Elon Musk. Some of which, you can make an argument they didn't really quite materialize in the timelines that Elon Musk proposed or suggested, but we are seeing it materialize right now in front of our eyes. And the exact same thing is going to happen with the Tesla Optimus bot. Anyway, Sawyer responded, you think Tesla stock was down 3.4% that day because one Optimus robot fell down? LOL, it was already known that the Optimus robots serving people items at different Tesla events are teleoperated. I think that was actually very well documented and understood. People are making way too big a deal of this. Then Gary Black fires back with, Sawyer, that's not what I said. I gave 2 reasons for yesterday's decline. Number 1, Morgan Stanley downgraded Tesla to a hold from a buy. And number 2, investors now questioning whether Optimus technology is truly as far along as many suggest if Tesla has to teleoperate them from afar. If Optimus is teleoperated rather than AI-driven, they are not scalable. This is the same issue with robotaxis and safety monitors. If a safety monitor is needed for every robotaxi, then robotaxis are not truly scalable. Yes, but they will not need the safety monitors. This is just a temporary thing that we are going through. Then Gary finishes with, you of all people should understand this. My response to that would be, well, Gary of all people should understand that the safety monitors are just temporary things. They're not going to be there permanently. And then Farzad jumps in, Gary, Tesla stock is down because there's more sellers than buyers on that day. Well, that's answering the question without really giving an insight. Yeah, that's what happens every single time a stock goes up or down, but there's a reason why people sell. And Gary gave a reason, and I think it's a valid reason for the most part. To try and reason why a single day move happened without some form of global news headline is a fruitless endeavor. I disagree with Farzad totally and completely here. Like, you go back to when Tesla, let's say, exceeds delivery expectations, or there's some huge announcement, some huge breakthrough, and then the stock goes up like 15% in a single day or something like that. If you remember, if you go back to the announcement when FSD was announced in China, oh, that was a good day. Wasn't that clearly linked to that? It was clearly linked to that, so I totally reject Farzad's thinking process. The argument is such a bad argument. It's so weak. And Farzad can do a lot better. Farzad usually has pretty good arguments, but this is one of his worst. The long term of the company is what's most important. I agree with this, though. It has become clear that Tesla has solved self-driving at scale. I agree with that. And the tech is now proven for humanoid robots with a scale-up of training compute. Well, the second part is more, you can make more arguments against that, but the FSD part, yeah, that's definitely, I agree with that 100%. And in the long term, I do think that Tesla has the best chance at having a useful humanoid robot, especially with Elon Musk. Then Gary Black replies with Farzad, that's like saying the woman wouldn't go out with me because she didn't like me. Wouldn't you want to know why? That's actually, well, I thought about this for a moment. I was going to say something, but I don't think we need to know why women would not want to go out with Gary Black. I think let's move on from this conversation. There's nothing good that is going to come out of this. I will say, however, Farzad has a good hairline. His hair is so thick. This is some good news. Tesla is now offering FSD supervised V14 ride-alongs in Denmark for the first time ever. So this means Tesla is now offering FSD supervised V14 ride-alongs in Italy, Germany, France, and now Denmark, with more countries to come. A Tesla employee will be in the driver's seat. Whoa. Okay, so I showed you something before. Now I'm going to show you something even better. 3,000 miles. 100% on FSD. My God. 3,000 miles. And people wonder why I flip bullish on FSD. This is why, says James. This is insane. You need to take a moment. This is actually a big moment. I just showed you a screenshot early in the video, and I said, I can't wait for a moment when we see 3,000, 4,000. Well, here we go. We already have 3,000. Wow. It's sort of one thing, I told you about the FSD tracker from Piper Sandler. I mean, the data that they saw, and they saw something much bigger than 3,000, but it just hits a little different when you see like an actual screenshot and it's a real screenshot. And it's like, oh my God, this is it. Guys, this is the moment. This is what we have been waiting for. It's here. It's in front of us. It's happening right now. I'm going to hold on to my Tesla stock. And this is going to be such an exciting journey. It's a bit hard to believe that Morgan Stanley downgraded Tesla stock from a buy to a hold. Although given their track record, it actually makes sense. This makes me feel more bullish about Tesla stock actually. Because if you go back to 2019, 2020, around that period of time, they did the exact same thing, and then Tesla stock exploded. So Morgan Stanley, in this regard, they don't have much credibility in my view. And for that, here is saying, I think Tesla's ability to generate demand in 2026 using FSD is going to be their biggest breakthrough. I find it extremely hard to believe that the average person wouldn't want a Tesla that can literally drive itself anywhere in the US without you having to pay attention. This is truly next level stuff. If Tesla isn't selling every car it can make moving forward, they aren't creating enough awareness/education. It's way too good now. Now, I think there are still some pockets in the US where I saw some people having some interventions or more interventions than in other regions. So I think it varies a little bit, but certainly in Texas, California, oh yeah. And overall, it seems to be getting much better everywhere. So with the next update, with that model that's going to be an order of magnitude bigger, according to Elon, oh, when you just stop and think about this whole thing, what's happening and what's going to happen, it's very interesting. The future is so bright. Anyway, this is quite ironic. LOL, says Elon Musk. X is now the #1 news app in every EU country amid attempts by the EU to censor the platform. And this is really interesting to see that Tesla Robotaxi app is now available for all iOS users to download in the following countries and regions: Japan, Thailand, Hong Kong, South Korea, Australia, and many others as well. Very interesting. So this is not just the US, we also have Canada and Mexico. Wow, this is a really bullish signal. Tesla is signaling that they are going global and going global soon. Tesla is inviting the world to come to the US to experience Robotaxi in the cities that it will be available. So one way to interpret this news is that Tesla is going to launch in all these countries. I mean, like Robotaxi, like actual Robotaxi in these countries. But another way to interpret this is a lot of people travel from these places to the US, and if you can download the app from a different country, and when you arrive, you can use a Robotaxi. It just simplifies everything. So I think that's a very good move from Tesla. I think it's probably more about Tesla allowing you to download the app ahead of time before you come to the US, basically. This is a smart move from Tesla. Tesla now officially allows owners to gift FSD supervised subscriptions in the US. There is a new 1-month FSD supervised gift card in the shop section of the Tesla app. Gift 1 month of FSD supervised, which allows the vehicle to drive itself almost anywhere with minimal intervention. The gift card is valued at $112 and is intended to cover the price of 1 month of FSD supervised, including up to 13% sales tax. That will certainly be a great Christmas present for many. Also, check this out. Someone did a 15-hour FSD drive with 0 interventions. We are starting to see some crazy stuff now. For years, I have been watching Omar posting videos of his long FSD drives. I always wanted to take a really long drive with FSD. I finally did. I just completed a grueling 15-hour, 800-mile drive from Monroe, I think that's New Jersey, to Georgia yesterday on FSD V14.2.1. FSD performed flawlessly. I didn't have to intervene at all from the time I left my garage to the time I got to my destination, except twice when I was speeding with Mad Max and there were police. Oh, we need to slow down when you see a cop feature. Okay, Tesla is probably gonna work on that. My car even backed up to the charging stations. Here's the highlight clip I put together from my dashcam videos. He says, yeah, so we are starting to see 15, 16-hour long drives now. No interventions. I mean, in this case, you could say there were two, but that's not really an intervention. That's telling the car, hey, there's a police vehicle over there. Slow down a little bit. Let's drive a little slower. Very impressive. I'm so happy right now. The thing that we have been waiting for years is finally happening in front of our eyes. And we are living through this moment of history that is only really going to happen once. This is going to be world changing, and we are all in this. We are all invested in Tesla stock, and we are all going to benefit from it as well. Now, remember I was talking about SpaceX and it being worth over $1 trillion. Well, Elon did talk about this a little bit earlier, a few days ago, but you know, about things like this, Elon, I think is a little bit, he can be a little tricky sometimes. So, but it's still worth to see what he has to say. And he said this, but this is from December 6th. There have been a lot of press claiming SpaceX is raising money at $800 billion, which is not accurate. SpaceX has been cash flow positive for many years and does periodic stock buybacks twice a year to provide liquidity for employees and investors. Valuation increments are a function of progress with Starship and Starlink and securing global direct-to-cell spectrum that greatly increases our addressable market. And one other thing that is arguably most significant by far. While I have great fondness for NASA, they will constitute less than 5% of all our revenue next year. Commercial Starlink is by far our largest contributor to revenue. Some people have claimed that SpaceX gets subsidized by NASA. This is absolutely false. The SpaceX team won the NASA contracts because we offered the best product at the lowest price, both best product and lowest cost. With regard to astronaut transport, SpaceX is currently the only option that passes NASA's safety standards. Anyway, so Elon Musk says that SpaceX is not raising money at $800 billion, and that doesn't mean that there's not going to be an IPO that's worth a lot more. You know, before we have seen similar things like this come out, rumors that Elon's company is raising money, and then Elon says, no, it's not really, and then we see that it actually raises money at like a higher valuation or something like that, or it's basically like sort of play on words. So about stuff like this, I am more inclined to go with the rumor that's from like a reporter that has some credibility. And then ARK Invest has shared their SpaceX valuation model, and it stands at 2.5 trillion enterprise value if you project their price target to 2030. This is certainly very interesting to look at. And over time, I think I will start covering SpaceX a lot more in very high detail, especially if they take the company public. I am almost certainly going to invest in the company. Now, Elon made one more point about SpaceX valuation. A major additional factor should be considered satellites with localized AI compute, where just the results are beamed back from low latency sun synchronous orbit will be the lowest cost way to generate AI bit streams in less than 3 years, and by far the fastest way to scale within 4 years, because easy sources of electrical power are already hard to find on Earth. 1 megaton per year of satellites with 100 kilowatt per satellite yields 100 gigawatts of AI added per year with no operating or maintenance costs, connecting via high bandwidth lasers to the Starlink constellation. The level beyond that is constructing satellite factories on the moon and using a mass driver, electromagnetic railgun, to accelerate AI satellites to lunar escape velocity without the need for rockets. That scales to over 100 terawatts per year of AI and enables non-trivial progress towards becoming a Kardashev 2 type civilization. Oh, and SpaceX goes public and you can invest into it without these ridiculously high fees. For many people that will consider and decide not to, I think it will turn out to be a huge mistake. If you follow Elon Musk, it's really hard not to get excited, and I am so excited to be a part of this journey, and I'm looking forward to Tesla stock going to $1,000 per share and then $2,000 per share. It will be an interesting journey. It's just a matter of time at this point, really. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video, probably on Friday. If not Friday, then maybe Monday. Just whenever there is some big news about Tesla is when I'll make the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you later.